It's now my privilege to introduce to you Barry Schatz, our guest speaker this afternoon. He has a really long title, so I'm going to try and get this right. He is the Associate Director of Cancer Center Administration for Loyola University's Cardinal Bernardin Cancer Center. But he is not here this morning in a clinical capacity. Barry is a leukemia survivor. He was diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia in the year 2000, and with the help of his family, friends, and the Leukemia Research Foundation, Barry began his fight. He had a bone marrow transplant in 2002, and by his very presence here today, you can tell who's winning the war. He lives with his wife Jody, who's with us here tonight. Thank you. And he has two sons, Marty 18 and Brian 21. Now you can do the math. They were 5 and 8 when he contracted the disease. Imagine the first communication with your wife and the first meeting with your children after the diagnosis. And so what does an experience like this do to a person who's fighting for his life? Well, Barry decided to set up an educational program designed to help families like his cope with these terrible blood diseases. He's a person of unbelievable courage. I can see that just knowing him for a short period of time. And he was gracious enough to accept my invitation today to come and speak. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Barry Schatz.
Thank you. I told John he's not supposed to make me cry before I get up. That's not right. I'm really awed to be here. The LRF asked if I would speak, and I of course said yes. First because Leukemia Research Foundation has been tremendously good to me and my family for a long, long time. And secondly, because I'm always willing to talk. I talk really well. What I forget are two things. One, my wife constantly reminds me I have to remember to stop talking. And I also forget how hard it is for me to start, especially when I'm in a group like this. I'm looking out at this room jam full of a sea of blue, and I'm really awed and taken back at the commitment and dedication and focus of the Timmer family and extended family of taking their tragedy, their loss, with Barb being ripped from them, I think John said 33 days, and saying, we're going to do something good. We're going to make it better. This is not going to happen again. And I'm blown away. I'm really blown away. And so the question is, why am I here? And it reminds me, the reason I'm here is because I'm here. Because 13 years ago, the treatment for CML, my disease, was interferon, which, after I found another treatment, everybody told me was horrible. They were nicer beforehand. But I was diagnosed with it, and just by the quirk of fate, a week after I was diagnosed, they started a clinical trial for CML on a drug called Gleevec, which John was talking about before. It literally revolutionized cancer care and leukemia care. And so I'm here because I had the good leukemia. Isn't that a weird phrase? It's the good leukemia. And it's good because there's a treatment now. Gleevec, I took Gleevec twice a day, morning and evening, and went about my life. Got up in the morning, kissed my wife, went to work, hugged my kids, drank good scotch, did everything I was supposed to do. And that's what 80% of the people with CML are able to do now. They take this pill and they go about their lives. And that's what we're talking about. The founder, the person who discovered Gleevec, was partially funded by Leukemia Research Foundation, has been doing work. Ironically, I was at a meeting because of my work where he was there. 13 years to the day when I started on his trial. What a gift. What a gift. Now, in 20% of the patients who take Gleevec, it stops working. I'm one of those 20. So I'm talking to this man who knows now that I was on bone marrow, and he apologized to me, which I thought was weird, and said, "I'm sorry you had to go through a bone marrow transplantation." I said, "I'm not. You made me healthy enough to make it through successfully. You left me in good condition to be able to withstand it. And now I'm cured." Here's a phrase that many people don't have the opportunity to say. I had leukemia. I had leukemia. And why can I say that? Because of people like you. I don't know who they were. I don't know where they were sitting, but they were raising money for LRF and other foundations, and they said, "Not again, no more. We have to find another way." And they did. So why am I here? I'm here because I'm here. Because as opposed to Barb Timmer's bad leukemia, I have the good leukemia, and I go on. John referred to a story. He says, "I can't imagine what it was." He said, he asked you to imagine what it was like for me to tell my family, and I remember that. I remember that every day. I remember looking at Jody, telling her I had leukemia, and watching her knees buckle, and watching her fall into my arms and sob with me. Then she wiped her tears, and she said, "What do we do now?" I've never heard "we" shouted so loudly in my life. And I didn't feel alone, and I realized I wasn't alone. And over time, I began to realize just how not alone I was. Because of people like you, who had met 10, 15 years before and said, "Not again." And I've grown to appreciate that more and more and more over time. So I'm here today because I'm here today. Because unlike Barb's bad leukemia, I want you to know that there's hope, that there's progress, that there's reasons to continue. And I'm here for my family. And I'm here for the people who haven't yet heard the word leukemia, and who maybe, because of your work and your advancement, won't think that it's a death knell. Will understand that there is hope and opportunity. I'm here for someone who may be here when you are doing this in 5, 10, and 15 years from now, and say, "I have the good leukemia. I have Barb Timmer's leukemia. And I go about my life. And I take care of my family." And that person, like I am today, will just say thank you and bless you for all that you do. Thank you all.